Greetings and welcome to week 2 of Justice 110 Intro to Law Enforcement. First, my apologies for the sound quality last week. I had a hard drive going out on my laptop and it was kind of whiny in the background and a lot of you couldn't hear very well. So I've switched to a different computer this week, hopefully one with better sound, and I've ordered a new laptop. So hopefully that won't be an issue anymore. A couple more housekeeping points. We've just got out of week 1, and hopefully all you guys are still feeling pretty good about that. This is not a time to get anxious or panic or worry. If you're having a good time, if you're finding everything out okay, if the class is working for you so far, great. I really hope that's the way it is. But if you can't find things, you don't know why things work, you just barely got here, you don't have the books, don't sweat it yet. Okay, this is not the time to worry about it. If this was week 1 on a real campus, you'd be spending last week worrying where your parking spot was, worrying where your classroom meets, worrying about traffic and bookstores and all kinds of things. And you don't have to worry about any of that here. So don't worry about week 1. Get through it the best you can, and let's get into week 2. The syllabus seemed a little bit confusing for some of you. You were asking questions, and here's an important part. Okay, get this down. Do this. Pay attention to the discussion board. The discussion board does 2 things. Maybe the primary things the discussion board does is answer your questions. I had a lot of questions last week on how exactly do we write the paper, where do we find this? How come the sound's so bad? Where do I drop this off at? I had some papers emailed to me. Anyway, I answer a lot of questions, but I don't answer a lot of questions over and over and over and over. If somebody else has already asked me, where's the drop box? I might not answer it the second or third or fourth time. I want you to read everybody's discussion. Okay, there's about 16, 17 of us in class. Read everybody's. I read everybody's. I try to answer everybody. But read those because there's going to be a lot of information in that discussion going back and forth. The discussion board is exactly like you raising your hand and asking a question in class. So don't blow it off. Don't treat it as not important. It's very important. So you're going to find a lot of answers there. The other thing the discussion board does is for my benefit. It helps me understand, are you understanding what's going on, and are you understanding the chapter? Because everything we do here kind of reflects back on the chapter of the book, and I want to know that you understand that. When we have a discussion question, I want you to answer it saying, gee whiz, the book said this, but I think that, or something along those lines. I want to know that you're reading the book. Now, just to recap, just to make sure that you've been following everything, I'm hoping the syllabus works for you. I'm hoping you can find the course content, you can find the folders, and you click on the folder. Right now, you should be over on the left-hand side of the screen are those little buttons. One of them says course content. You click on that. Then you go to the first section. Then you go to the first week. If you go to week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, and open those folders, everything you need to do is in those folders. If you just find that week folder and work your way through it, you got it. What you should find in there, what you should be doing, there's a PowerPoint presentation every week. I don't really refer to the PowerPoint a lot. It's more of a review. It's put out by the textbook manufacturers, but it's good. If you're a PowerPoint kind of person and you follow those things well, open it up and review it. It's another review. It's another source of information. It's not 20 pages like the chapter is. It's 20 slides. So that should really hit the high points for you and make sure you realize and understand what the real topic was this week. So there's a PowerPoint you can review. There's this lecture you can review. Now, if you're listening to it, you must have found it. There was some problems last week, and I don't quite understand what was going on. About half of you wrote me and said, I can't open the lecture. I can't find it. I can't open it. I can't hear it. I'm lost. Rest of the other half of you had no issues whatsoever. Clicked on it, there it was, perfect. So I'm not really sure why it worked for half of you and not the other. Might have to do with the browser I'm using compared to the browser you're using, or I mean, I don't understand. I don't know. But know that the PowerPoints are there and you should be able to get to them. Now there's a couple of ways. If you click on the link and that does nothing, then copy the link and paste it into your address box and just go to it directly. That seemed to work for a lot of people. If that doesn't work, type in the title. I was giving you the titles in some of those questions, and then just search for it, and that should pull it up. The title for this, well, actually, if you're listening to this, you've already found it, and you already know how to get in there, but you got to look around, okay? The lecture should be working for you, and clearly if you're here, they are, so forget. So there's a PowerPoint, there's a lecture, there's a chapter. Every week you read a chapter in this text. Week 1, chapter 1. Week 2, chapter 2. Week 3, chapter 3. Pretty easy. I think you'll get it. If you don't have the book yet, don't panic. Now, if it was a possibility for you to use the ebook, you've probably ordered the hard copy by now. But like I said last week, I'm using the digital version, and that's instant. I mean, you just buy it. It's half the price of the hard copy book, and it shows up right on your computer, and it's exactly the same copy. So think about using the digital version. Some of us live way out in the middle of nowhere. It takes a long time for the mail to get there. But if you don't have it yet, don't sweat it. You'll get it eventually. You'll catch up. So there's a chapter to read. There's a PowerPoint. There's a lecture. There's a quiz. Inside that folder, you click on the quiz link. That quiz will take you to 20 questions, 10 multiple choice, 10 true or false. Again, all that does is tells me you've read the chapter and you've understand it. If you miss all the questions, I guess you don't understand it. Passed them all, I guess you do. So it's just another way to double check. There's a writing assignment every week, okay? Writing assignment's important. I've really written some pretty detailed instructions. They were in the syllabus. They've been on the announcements page. Go back, if you didn't see it, go back to the announcement page, see if it's there. I wrote some pretty detailed instructions and some of the answers to your classmates. Make sure you go through there. It's a pretty easy writing assignment. I'm looking for a page. I'm looking for a very, 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 very good page. Quality, not quantity. You're going to get into this racket, or you're already in it. You got DAs and chiefs and defense guys breathing down your reports, and they got to be good. So that's why we write every week. So let's see. There's a quiz, there's a lecture, there's a PowerPoint, there's a chapter to read, there's a writing assignment. Discussion board. There's a discussion board. I'm going to throw a question out at you, and we're going to discuss it. And again, it's like being in class. Now, there's some participation required here, okay? If you blow off the discussion board or you just barely participate, grade's not going to be that good. Now, if you looked at the syllabus, you saw that, one, I don't get below a C. You get below a C, you didn't pass the class. So you got to at least get to a C. Second of all, there's points for all this stuff. So if you don't go to the discussion board, you just lost 15 points. If you don't participate well enough, or if your stuff doesn't make sense, if they're not good discussions, you're not going to make the whole 15 points. So you got to have the points to get the grades. So that's what's in every week. Let's get a housekeeping. Let's talk about this week a little bit. Chapter 2 is about measuring and explaining crime. Now, very, very, very simplistically, let's define crime as breaking the law. There's a better definition. It's in your book, but that'll do for tonight. So crime is breaking the law. So if we're going to understand crime, we have to understand laws. We have to understand why there's laws, why there's not laws, why some places have laws, other places don't. There's two kinds of laws. There's kind of the laws that everybody understands. Those are called, and you're going to get a lot of Latin here, which is kind of fun, mala in se laws. Those of you that have been through the academy recognize this. Those are the laws and the crimes that are just obvious on their face. Okay, murder is wrong. Burglary is wrong. Theft is wrong. Rape is wrong. Robbery is wrong. So there's some things that are just obvious. They're wrong. They're against the law. Everybody has those laws. You're going to find every town, every city, every state, in our country at least, theft is always wrong. Rape is always wrong. Arson is always wrong. So those are just the obvious ones. Other kind of laws, help me out here, those of you who've been in the academy and so on, malaprohibited laws. And those means they're against the law because we say so. And that has a whole lot to do with our discussion question this week. When I ask you that discussion question about skateboarding, I'm kind of talking malaprohibited laws here. You know, the things that are against the law because we say so. But then those things we have to understand, why did we say so? Okay, speed limits are malaprohibited. It's against the law to drive in my town over 25 miles an hour. Well, who says and why? You know, it has a lot to do with safety, has a lot to do with the ruling class, has a lot to do with history. You know, there's a lot of reasons why some things are against the law and some things are not. Historically, in the United States, you go back a few decades, quite a few now, you go back a few decades, at one point in our nation's history, marijuana was totally legal. Alcohol was totally against the law. It was just that time in history that those things lined up. In most states, that's flipped around now. It's just the opposite. Pot's illegal, alcohol's not. Although we've just seen now, Colorado and Washington have just made recreational uses of pot legal. I'm taping this on a Sunday. This morning's Sunday's paper, the Anchorage Daily News, front page headline across the top was that Alaskans might get to vote on the recreational use of marijuana and whether or not it should be legal or not. So prohibited laws change, and we have to understand why, because now there's a couple of, this course is called Intro to Law Enforcement. Law enforcement's really, really, really important. That's what your degree is going to be in, and is law enforcement. And law enforcement, of course, is enforcing the laws that we put out there. But there's an equally important theory or issue out there, and that's crime prevention. If you have enough crime prevention, you don't need law enforcement because all the laws, none of the laws are being broken. There is no crime if you have total crime prevention. We'll never have total crime prevention, but the goal among many thinkers is that crime prevention is superior to law enforcement. We should be more concerned, more worried about crime prevention than law enforcement. And so again, then, that's the reason for this chapter. We have to understand crime. We have to understand why we have the laws we do. We have to understand how to measure it. We have to understand how then also to either enforce those laws or prevent that crime. And that'll lead us into all of our other chapters. So it's a very basic chapter. When we get into our courses on constitutional law and criminal law, we will talk a lot about this. The entire class will be just on this subject. So pretty cool. This builds on that. So good luck with chapter 2. You got any concerns? Grab me on the discussion board. Send me an email. Let's get them taken care of. Don't sweat week 1. I think week 1 went really well for a lot of us. Week 2 is going to go a lot better for a lot more of us. So enjoy. Okay, this is supposed to be an enjoyable time on top of a valuable time. So good luck.